Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Walt here from Down the Block Sports, and today we're going to talk about the Boston Red Sox. Through the first half of the 2021 regular season, the Boston Red Sox are 50-31, on pace to win 100 games. On this episode, I'm going to tell you if these Red Sox will hit that 100-win mark. Again, I'm Alec Walt, and this is Down the Block Sports. So if you were to tell me in spring training, Walt, the Boston Red Sox will be 50-31 in the first 81 games of the season, I would tell you were crazy, because there were a lot of questions about this team going into the season. The division was tough. The starting rotation had a lot of question marks. No Chris Sale. He'll be coming back, but he wasn't on the team yet. Can the bullpen survive a 162? Can the defense stay intact with no Jackie Bradley Jr.? We knew the offense was going to be fine, but there were still a lot of question marks with this team going into the season. And through the first half of the season, we've gotten a lot of good answers from some of those questions. The starting rotation's been awesome. Erod's been a little inconsistent. Garrett Richards sucks right now. The guy should be in AAA. Can't wait for Chris Sale to come back because he's probably on his way out. But Nathan Eovaldi's been a stud. Martin Perez consistently gets you 6 innings pretty much every time he starts. And Nick Pivetta has been one of the biggest surprises in the American League. His ERA is higher than it'd like to be, but he consistently gives you decent starts every single time he goes on the mound. Let's go to the bullpen. Matt Barnes has been an elite closer this year with 18 saves through the first half of the season. Adam Ottavino has been very solid as a setup man. Josh Taylor's been a very nice surprise. And Garrett Whitlock's been one of the best relievers on this team, and he was a Rule 5 pick from the Yankees. Let's go to the defense. How's the defense going to be without Jackie Bradley Jr.? Kike Hernandez has done a very good job defensively in center field since he's taken over that spot for the most part full time. He had a spectacular catch yesterday against the Royals, diving catch near the bullpen. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out after seeing this video. But one of the biggest surprises here in the outfield has been Hunter Renfroe in right field. He's on pace to possibly win a Gold Glove there in right field. He's been so good defensively, they moved Alex Verdugo to left field. So a lot of those questions, will the starting rotation keep up? It has. And they're about to get Chris Sale back. Can the bullpen last through 162? They've had guys like Whitlock and Taylor really step up in their roles, allowing Barnes and Ottavino to secure those 2 spots in the back end. Their bullpen's been very good. Can the defense do it? Their defense has been their defense has given up some errors. Every defense does. But in the outfield specifically, without Jackie Bradley Jr., it's been pretty solid. Now, the offense, obviously, we expected to be elite. And this year, look at these numbers. For the first half of the season, they're second in runs, third in batting average, third in slugging, and 10th in on-base percentage. It's been a very successful first half of the season for the Boston Red Sox. Now, the big question is, can they repeat it? Can they get to 100 wins? And when you look at the state of this division right now, I think it's extremely doable. The Red Sox are in first. They have a 3-game lead over the Tampa Bay Rays, a 7.5 lead over the Toronto Blue Jays, and an 8.5 lead over the New York Yankees. Now, let's start with the Yankees. The Yankees have been by far the biggest disappointment in this division. They currently sit at 41-39 and just suffered an embarrassing loss last night to the LA Angels. A lot of people went into the season, are the Yankees the best team in this division? On paper, it looked like it. But in their starting rotation, Herman hasn't been great. Their 2 additions in Kluber and Taillon have not lived up to expectations. The offense can't hit. And Brian Cashman's sitting there like, we got 3 teams we need to jump. What makes you think that the Yankees are going to be active at the trade deadline? Okay, let's move on from the Yankees, who the Red Sox also play 13 times in the second half of the season, who they've beaten all 6 times they played them. Toronto 41-37. I think Toronto's a very, very, very good team. And they played the Red Sox pretty well. Of course, the Red Sox pitching was one of their worst that series of the season. Their bats are awesome. You can't really count out the Toronto Blue Jays. Plus, They are 7.5 back. I do think they're going to be interesting in the wild card race, but Toronto's going to be active at the trade deadline. They're a young team. They're a team that's on the rise. They could use another pitcher. They could go after some guys with years of control on a bad team. Again, we can talk about trade rumors and deadline on a future show. But Toronto's still a team you can't sleep on. But being 7.5 games back at the halfway mark of the season is not exactly an easy task to get to. Okay, let's go to Tampa Bay. They're a surprise, not as big of a surprise as the Red Sox, but they're 47-34. Since Tyler Glasnow's gone down, Tampa has not looked like the same team. At the first half of the season, I was like, okay, this team's probably going to win the division. Since Tyler Glasnow's gone down, if they keep the pace up they're at right now, they're not going to make the playoffs. They look like a complete different team right now. So when you look at the end of this division, you got two teams that look like contenders heading in the wrong direction. The two teams that could be decent are heading in the right direction. And the Red Sox, of course, have 13 games against the biggest disappointment in the division in the New York Yankees. Now, the trade deadline's coming up. A lot of the questions are, what are the Red Sox going to do? And I still think going after some pitching would be the move, even though Chris Sale is coming back, who looked awesome in his bullpen session recently for the Red Sox. Still the pitching stats aren't fantastic. They're 15th in ERA, 24th in quality starts, 26th in batting average, 26th in whip. Those numbers sound terrible. Even though the rotation's been better than it could, getting 6 decent innings, the offense making up for some of those losses, the bullpen still being very solid, I do think going after some pitching would make a lot of sense. Yes, Chris Sale's coming back, but he has an injury history. Erod's been inconsistent, even though he's had some quality starts lately. And Garrett Richards, I don't know why this guy's even on the team. Ever since they started cracking down on sticky substances, he's been terrible. His spin rate's down. He's mentally not there. I'm telling you this right now. I'm giving Richards 2 more starts. I'm giving that deadline in that Philly series in a couple weeks. If he has 2 more bad starts, he cannot be in this rotation any longer. He is so awful right now, it's not even funny. Now, yes, we did know that a lot of pitchers were going to have to deal with an adjustment period without those sticky situations, a guy that relies on spin rate and location. And unfortunately, due to the crackdown, he has been one of the pitchers that has been very negatively affected by it. But still, when you look at this Boston Red Sox team, they absolutely can win 100 games. They're in a division that is winnable due to its state right now. Don't sleep on Toronto, but Tampa Bay and New York are... maybe Tampa can get out of this, but without Tyler Glasnow, it's going to be extremely difficult for them, for a team that is always, known for its starting pitching. Now, to start the second half, the Red Sox schedule is not the easiest, but it's also not insane. They still have 1 game against Kansas City today, which is at 1 p.m. Then they go to Oakland, to Los Angeles, the Angels. Then home against Philadelphia, at New York, at Toronto, versus New York, versus Toronto, at Tampa Bay. If the Red Sox are going to win this division, they could give themselves a huge lead over the next couple weeks, because with those matchups all against division, then even after that, they go at Toronto versus Tampa Bay versus Baltimore, at New York again. Having this schedule right now for the Red Sox is actually pretty solid, because, like I mentioned before, they'll be playing Tampa without Tyler Glasnow. Toronto will give them a series like they always do. They're a team that can hit. I'm not going to count them out. But what makes you think right now that the Yankees are going to find some game plan to come and beat this team? Now they can't even rely on Aroldis Chapman in the back of the bullpen. And they're not winning Garrett Cole starts. The Red Sox are the biggest surprise of the 2021 season in the American League. They were a team that had low expectations, was expected to maybe fight for a wild card spot, sit behind those 2 top dogs in the East, and maybe make things interesting going into the offseason with Chaim Bloom. Now, they're 50-31, are probably going to win their division, in a great position to gain a ton of separation here over the next couple of weeks, next couple months, even month, you could say, even as it expands. and they have the chance to realistically win 100 games in the season. Here's what the Red Sox need to do if they want to do it. One, they need to keep smashing the baseball. When you look at the middle of this order, Alex Verdugo, J.D. Martinez, Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, there may not be a better core at the top of the lineup in baseball than what we see in Boston. Two, they just need to figure out a couple spots in the rotation. When's Chris Sale going to come back? When they need him 100%, if they're going to make a playoff run, they need Chris Sale to be Chris Sale. Two, what are we getting out of Erod? He's been very inconsistent. He's a guy we expected to be at the top of the rotation, but he's had some inconsistent starts, one promising lately. But can we get consistent starts from him? Three, what's the deal with Garrett Richards? If he pitches like he does right now, he should not be on the major league club. And four, can the bullpen keep consistent with Matt Barnes and Adam Ottavino? I think it's extremely realistic for the Red Sox to remain consistent in the back of that bullpen. So I'm going to tell you this right now. I think the Red Sox have a better second half because they're going to make moves at the deadline. They're going to continue to play consistent baseball. Winning teams find ways to win games. And this team consistently comes from behind to beat teams that were expected to be better than them. The return of Alex Cora has been spectacular for this Boston Red Sox team, and he's done nothing but help this team consistently win games and be excited to come to the ballpark on a daily basis. Watch out for the Boston Red Sox. They're a team that's 50-31 in the first half and have the chance to repeat and finish 100 games in the regular season. I'm calling it right now. They will finish with over 100 games. Thank you, New York Yankees. 13 matchups against them? Ha! Wow. It's going to be a fun second half if you're a Boston Red Sox fan. I'll be there against Philly in a couple weeks too. I love what I'm seeing out of the Boston Red Sox. That's going to be it for my reaction to the Red Sox here in the second half of the season. What do you think about the Boston Red Sox? Will they win 100 games? Feel free to comment that below. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Down the Block Sports for more of my exclusive content. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.